The movie begins in a snowy neighborhood with a festive atmosphere of Christmas being celebrated by everyone. A woman named Ashley does not share the festive mood because she cannot spend this Christmas with her family. Garrett thinks that Luke is too young for Ashley, but Luke is determined to make his plan work. Shortly afterwards, Ashley arrives and is greeted by Luke's parents, who are already getting ready for the Christmas party. It turns out that Ashley has been Luke's nanny for a long time, since he was a toddler, which explains why his parents trust her to take care of the now more disobedient teenager Luke. Luke's mother tells Ashley that Luke has started sleepwalking again, so Ashley will have to leave a pencil on his doorknob to know if he is in his room at night. When Luke's parents leave, Ashley talks to her boyfriend Ricky, who insists on going out with her, but she refuses. Over time, it becomes clear that Luke wants to show her that he is no longer a boy. He starts performing various stunts to demonstrate his courage and maturity, and tries to impress her. When Ashley goes to the kitchen to drink a bottle of champagne, she finds the back door open and closes it. She receives a call from Ricky again and ends the conversation because of an argument between them that irritates her. Even though Luke knows that her boyfriend is constantly calling her, it doesn't stop him from trying to please her. Then Ashley gets a call on the kitchen phone, but no one answers, so she goes to watch a horror movie with Luke. Luke tells her that a girl shouldn't be dating a guy like Ricky, but Ashley shuts him up by saying that Luke is still too young. She mentions that she forgot to order a pizza, but just then they hear the doorbell ring and see the pizza delivery man. Ashley tells the delivery man that she didn't order the pizza, but Luke suggests that his father might have ordered it and takes it. They end up eating the pizza and watching a horror movie together. Luke continues to try to impress the girl, even going so far as to put his hand on her body, which makes her feel a little ambivalent. This is all interrupted by a phone call, which Ashley answers. She comes back to sit next to him after the conversation, and they watch the movie for a while longer, until Luke suddenly tries to kiss her, which pushes her away and scares her. As a result, Ashley stands up, resolutely refusing his advances. Ashley receives a call from a man who tells her that he is watching her. She goes to the window in the backyard, but sees no one there. She then discovers that the back door is open, and quickly asks Luke to hand her the phone, but he accidentally throws it into the fish tank. The same man turns out to be Garrett, who planned to play a prank on Ashley by scaring her. Then, suddenly, she hears a noise coming from the top floor. Ashley takes a kitchen knife and goes up the stairs to check if everything is okay. She is followed by two boys. They find that someone has broken the window on the second floor by throwing a brick at it. Ashley tries to make a call using the landline and is surprised that there is no signal. The three of them figure out that they can no longer connect to the internet and can't make calls through the landline. They plan to escape in Ashley's car, but discover that someone has slashed the tire with a knife. Garrett goes downstairs and finds that a brick says they must not leave the house or they will die. Garrett begins to panic and ignores the warning, running to the front yard where he is eliminated by an unknown figure. Frightened, Ashley and Luke hide from the criminal. They decide to hide in the attic, avoiding the mysterious figure who has now entered the house. Luckily, the criminal doesn't realize they are in the attic, so he leaves the room. Ashley is frightened by the spider and almost falls from the attic, but Luke saves her. After that, they go downstairs and Luke goes to get the gun hidden in his parents' room. He takes Ashley to another room, although the criminal is still wandering around the house. The man enters the room, and Ashley soon realizes that his mask belongs to Luke. She forces the perpetrator to take off the mask, and it turns out that it is Garrett. As a result, Ashley is very angry when she finds out that Luke was trying to get her to like him by scaring her and arranging the rescue. Now enraged at the failure of the plan, Luke punches Ashley so hard that she falls down the stairs, losing consciousness. When Ashley regains consciousness, she realizes that she is tied to a chair, while Luke and Garrett are walking around the house calmly. Luke confesses his feelings for Ashley, despite their age difference. The two boys force her to play a game of truth or dare, in which Luke demands to know if Ashley has had any contact with other men, and Garrett challenges Luke to scare her by touching her body. Garrett and Luke begin to argue, with Garrett telling Luke that he must touch Ashley, but Luke refuses to do so. When Ashley is left alone in the room, she finds a flashlight, takes it, and sends out a distress call. However, she is caught when Luke and Garrett return and the flashlight is taken away. Luke then forces her to drink a drink that will make her forget everything when she wakes up the next day. But she hits the bottle, and it breaks. Suddenly, someone rings the doorbell and Ashley tries to scream for help, but is stopped. Luke turns on the loud music on the stereo and discovers that it is Ricky, who is standing at the door, and says that he came to see Ashley after receiving a text message from her. Luke tells Ricky that Ashley is annoyed and doesn't want to see him anymore. Ricky decides to leave, but asks Luke to give her the bouquet of flowers he brought. But when Luke opens the door to take the bouquet, Ricky forces his way into the house. In another room, Ashley falls to the floor and picks up a glass shard. Luke tells Ricky that Ashley is in the attic. When Ricky goes upstairs to look for her, Luke takes a baseball bat from his own room and incapacitates Ricky. The two boys start fighting on the floor. Then Garrett comes in with a gun in his hand. Luke seizes the opportunity and knocks Ricky out. Ricky is now tied to another chair next to Ashley, and at this point it becomes clear that Luke was the one who texted Ricky from Ashley's phone. Garrett didn't know that this was also part of Luke's plan, so he argues with Luke, but he somehow calms him down and resolves the conflict. After that, Luke makes Ashley call her ex-boyfriend, Jeremy, and ask him to come over. The girl doesn't do it, so Luke calls him himself. Meanwhile, Ashley uses this opportunity to start freeing herself from the chair using a glass shard. Ricky deliberately distracts Luke, who is forced to clean the floor, and goes outside to throw away the rag. While he's gone, Ashley unties one of her legs and then the other. Unfortunately, the situation only gets worse for Ricky as Luke and Garrett drag him out of the room. Luke is clearly feeling jealous. He doesn't like the fact that Ashley has another man in her life. As a result, Luke comes up with an idea to hurt Ricky. Meanwhile, in the other room, Ashley is completely free of the ropes. She holds a gun and threatens Luke that she won't let him hurt Ricky. But then Luke sends Ricky to the other side forever. Ashley and Garrett stand shocked, holding their breath at the horrific sight. Ashley pulls the trigger, but it turns out that the gun is not loaded. She then tries to run out of the house, but her efforts are futile as Luke drags her back inside again. He ties her up again and happily walks out onto the porch. Garrett is obviously shocked and annoyed by Ricky's death. Later, Jeremy arrives at the front door and Luke greets him warmly. Luke tells Jeremy that Ashley wants a letter of apology from him before she meets with him. Unbeknownst to Jeremy, Luke has devised an elaborate plan to eliminate him. In the end, having put his plan into action, the guy manages to send Jeremy to the other side as well. Garrett changes his mind after Ashley makes him realize that Luke is not a good friend, and that he is only using and manipulating Garrett for his own benefit. Unfortunately for him, when he tries to free her, that infuriates Luke, and he shoots Garrett for touching Ashley. Luke yells at Garrett, saying that he made him do it. Luke eventually makes the final shot, sending him to the next world. After witnessing everything that happened, Ashley loses hope. Luke tells her how his mother once cared for him and loved him, but then she stopped, and he doesn't know why. Ashley claims that she knows why, but she remains silent and does not answer. Enraged, Luke ends it all with a knife. With no one else alive, Luke happily starts walking around the house, arranging the bodies and creating a fake crime scene. Finally, he goes to bed and remembers to leave a pencil on the doorknob. Unable to do so, he decides to enter his room through the window. Later, when his parents finally arrive, Luke pretends to be asleep in his bed, seemingly unaware of everything that has happened in the house. His mother hugs him and the police and paramedics are called to the scene. At this point, it is clear that Luke is pleased with his success. But it's not over yet, as one of the medics shouts that someone else is still alive. It turns out to be Ashley. Luke looks out the window in horror as Ashley is lifted into the ambulance. Ashley notices Luke in his room looking at her, and she gives him the middle finger. Before the movie ends, Luke is terrified that Ashley will tell the police. He tells his mother that he is very worried about Ashley, and wants to visit her in the hospital. 12-year-old teenager Cole is in the medical office trembling at the thought of the upcoming injection, considering it a truly hellish ordeal. The bullies, led by Jeremy, are constantly laughing at the boy and bullying him. They mock the fact that the schoolboy is still being looked after by a nanny. At that moment, the very hot Nanny B appears and easily fights back the bullies by puncturing the tires of their bicycles. Then the girl whispers something threatening in Jeremy's ear, and he runs away in terror. B puts Cole in her car and drives him home. The nanny takes care of the schoolboy, as his parents often go out of town for the weekend and leave Cole at home alone. B suggests that the boy have a loud party this weekend, and of course, he gladly agrees, while not being able to take his eyes off the alluring parts of the beautiful girl's body. In the afternoon, his father puts Cole in the driver's seat of his car, intending to teach his son the basics of driving. However, the schoolboy feels so insecure that he can't even move, although the man continues to encourage his son. The next morning, Cole goes to school with his pretty neighbor Melanie. The boy says sadly that his parents are leaving town for the weekend again, and the neighbor replies that the teenager's parents love him very much. They just want to retire to a country hotel and have a lot of fun. Melanie is also sure that at night, B will definitely bring her boyfriend to the neighbor's house. If Cole stays awake, he will be able to see a lot of interesting things. At school, Cole notices that B is courting a boy, and he is very jealous. He is sure that the beautiful girl will have fun with this high school student tonight. In the evening, Cole's parents leave, and B comes to the boy's house instead. The two of them party for hours on end and have a great time together. When it gets very late, B tells him that it's time to go to bed and gives him a special drink that will make him fall asleep in 15 minutes. However, Cole is determined to see how the beauty will have fun with the high school student tonight. That's why the teenager pours the liquid into the flower and only pretends to drink it all. In order not to fall asleep, Cole calls Melanie and has a heart-to-heart with his neighbor, promising to tell her everything he sees tonight. Hearing voices from the living room, the teenager sneaks quietly into the room, where he sees that Bea has brought her friends to his house. She is playing an interesting game with them. Allison, Sonia, Max, John, and the same high school student Samuel are sitting on the living room floor. When it's Bea's turn, she chooses to perform an action, so Max tells her to kiss each of them. Cole watches with open mouth as the beautiful girl kisses all the guests in turn. When it's Samuel's turn, he looks very nervous. Bea kisses him gently and then suddenly pulls out two sharp objects and stabs him in the head. Cole can't believe his eyes. It turns out that Bea and her friends are using the boy's blood for some kind of gruesome ritual. After collecting the blood in a bowl, the guys get the Devil's Book, which, according to Bea, will fulfill any of their wishes. All that remains is to find the blood of an innocent. Realizing that it is him, Cole quickly rushes to his room. The schoolboy calls the police and is about to climb down from the second floor on the sheets, but he cannot overcome his fear and then jumps into bed and pretends to be asleep. At that moment, the cultists enter his room. Sonia takes out a syringe and draws blood from the boy's vein on the second attempt, and Cole has to make a lot of effort not to give himself away. When the guests leave the room, Cole runs to the window again, but the teenager begins to feel dizzy and faints. Cole wakes up tied to a chair in the living room, surrounded by cultists. Bea states that she immediately felt unwell and returned to the room. The teenager tries to quietly cut the ropes on his hands with a penknife, but all his actions are reflected in the mirror. At that moment, a police car pulls up to the house. Cole screams and calls for help. Two guys are armed with pistols, and when the cops break into the house, Max eliminates one of them. The second cop shoots Allison in the chest. Bea eliminates the second cop, and his blood fills John's face. The cultists surround Cole again, and the wounded Allison screams in pain. Cole runs to the second floor, and John chases after him, but slips on a toy car, falling from the second floor and going to the other side. Cole runs into his room, and having no choice, grabs the window. Max almost grabs the teenager, who falls to the ground and hits his back hard. However, Cole is strong enough to run to a small utility room. Nearby, the teenager grabs something that might be useful for self-defense and returns to the basement of his house. Cole trembles with fear when he sees several spiders and mousetraps inside, but still hides under a piece of cloth. Soon, Sonia appears, trying to find Cole. The girl crawls past, but Cole reveals himself by throwing away an approaching spider. The teenager sets off a huge firework, but it flies past the cultist. Cole runs out of the basement and slams the bars behind him, and the powerful explosion of the fireworks sends Sonia into a world of pink unicorns. Max runs outside when he hears a noise outside. Cole runs away and immediately climbs into his treehouse, where he spent his entire childhood. The stalker takes his time and smiles devilishly, realizing that the teenager can't hide from him now. Max approaches the house and menacingly approaches his victim. However, the old, rotten boards cannot withstand the cultist's weight, and he falls through the floor and dies instantly as the rope wraps around his neck. Angry, Bea fires a shotgun at Cole, but misses. The teenager runs as fast as he can to his neighbor's house and runs through the door that has just opened, stunning Melanie with his appearance. Cole tells the neighbor that he is being hunted by a group of cultists. At this point, Bea enters the house, so the teenager has to hide. The girl searches the house, but the teenagers manage to hide in the toilet. Cole apologizes for getting Melanie into this terrible situation and tells a neighbor to call the cops while he deals with the psychopathic Nanny. Impressed by the boy's courage, Melanie gently kisses the neighbor. The kiss boosts Cole's morale so much that he runs outside and shouts to Bea that he will beat her in a fair fight. Cole boldly returns to his house, where he is surprised to see that the cultists have put everything in order and cleaned up after themselves. The teenager finds a book of the devil in the kitchen, and at that moment, Allison attacks him. Cole presses hard on the girl's wounded chest, which causes her unbearable pain. The fight continues, and Allison grabs a huge, sharp object, while Cole finds nothing better than a small lighter. Suddenly, Bea appears, and with a shot from her gun, Allison's head is severely injured. The girl approaches the teenager, who grabs the book and threatens to burn it. Bea tries to calm him down, saying that she didn't mean to hurt anyone. She only wanted his blood to be shed on the page of the devil's book and fulfill her every wish. Cole is furious when he finds out that the nanny has been using him all along. He sets the book on fire, and Bea tries to put out the burning pages. The teenager runs out of the house and heads straight for Melanie's father's cool sports car. Cole gets behind the wheel, and at high speed literally flies into his house. crushing the psychopath with the car along the way. The teenager finds B, who can barely breathe, and declares that he is very disappointed in the beauty. The girl really wants to return to her friendship with Cole, but the boy is no longer interested, and he leaves. Soon the police and firemen arrive. Cole sits on the sidewalk and is joined by Melanie, who admires her neighbor's courageous actions. She kisses him again. The worried parents appear next, and sigh with relief when they see their son alive and well. The teenager calmly looks at his parents and confidently declares that he no longer needs a nanny. Firefighters are clearing the rubble of the house. One of the men approaches the place where B was supposed to be lying, but she is no longer there. The firefighter returns and is attacked by an angry cultist screaming at him.